Yo, 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 what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Nate the Great coming at you with another live. You already know if you're new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. So the returning friends and family, you already know it's peace and blessings. I give y'all some time to tune in case these notifications ain't go out. James number 8, what's going on, my guy? Anita, baby. My night is going very well. My whole weekend has been very well, to be quite honest. So another year, another blessing. Give y'all some time to tune in case the notifications didn't go out. First things first, you already know. Hopefully, everybody having a blessed and productive Sunday. Hopefully, everybody enjoyed their weekend. I know in some areas the weather's a little mixy right now, but nonetheless, it's still nice. It's not raining. Hopefully, y'all got out and seized the day, no matter what events you got into. Those celebrating birthdays this week, those who celebrated birthdays recently, in this past weekend. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed yourselves and kept yourselves on a real smooth playing field when it comes to things. Again, hopefully you was able to enjoy every moment and create moments, memories that last long lifetimes. It's important for y'all, you know, seize every minute of the day. So, but hopefully y'all enjoyed yourselves. Hopefully y'all kept yourselves in order overall. And again, shoot, hopefully you got your grub on. And the most important thing is just being around those that mean much to you. So, and those celebrating this upcoming week, I would tell y'all the same thing. Whether you got to work or not, uh, try to make the best of your day. You know? If you was able to see another year, again, give your praise what it's due. Appreciate everybody that turned out for the little pre-birthday bash. Definitely was a good vibe as always. You know, shout outs to everybody that made it possible. Like I said, we was definitely gonna have a good conversation somewhat, but he was really gonna turn up, you know, and that was a good thing. Appreciate everybody that showed love, especially on the community wall. Um, like I said, it really is good to see another year and to see what things are transpired, especially going into the new year. Some of y'all already know it might be a little turbulence along the way, but just remember, keep your faith strong. You know, always remember critical thinking and don't fold under pressure. You know, things might change for a little bit, but you should be able to weather the storm. Serious, baby. Should be able to weather the storm. So, just keep your head on the swivel. And one thing I can tell y'all is try to keep yourselves safe for the holiday season. That's on all angles. But I appreciate everybody that rocked out, showed love. You know, it does feel amazing again to see another year of blessings, opportunities. You know, some people don't get that opportunity. You know, so we always take that into consideration as well. But if you missed it, catch the replay, you know what it is. Before I do get into this topic tonight, Isaiah, baby, been a minute, sis. Hope all well with you. But it's a good thing. You know, gives you mindless. Uh, yeah, I'm about to just delve into this. Mindless situations, you know, that could put you in a bind. I'm saying that to say this to some that need air. If you decide you're gonna go out and do certain things, right? You have to be accountable for what you've done, number one. And you also gotta be responsible for the next go around. Like I said, it's gonna get a little deep tonight, but trying to get to a good place for some. London, baby. But like I said, I usually call these things down the middle. So that goes on both ends, fellas and ladies of all creeds and race right now that need to hear this right now. When you decide to go out and do certain things and not think about your self preservation or your self respect and dignity, you can put yourself in an awkward position. The goal is to not do it, right? Goal is if you are trying to find something, you're trying to build with that person, first things first, it has to be respect. Not just self respect, but respect all around the board, period. Communication is definitely another form of it. Now, if you're not communicating what you really want or what you desire, that's when you have to go back to the drawing board. James, what's going on, my guy? See the coffee cups in the chat. You have to go back to the drawing board. You have to step away from it and look at it. Be quite honest. In some situations, it shouldn't be that hard for you to make a decision on what you want, especially if you already know what you are requiring. And if you find a person or you will find people who fit that criteria, then you have to go through a process of elimination. But again, if you decide you're going to go out and do certain things that jeopardize you, you have to take accountability at some points. Marlene, baby. No, and this is what I'm saying. Yeah, you have to be careful. See, I'm gonna say for some like prime example, for some of you ladies out there, you refuse to take accountability for some of the things that you do. Keyword some. So if it don't apply, let it fly. It's one of those nights tonight. Even those in the shadows watching, if it don't apply, let it fly. I'm just giving my observation of what I've seen, what I've been seeing. And again, it is a sad thing to say. The level of self-respect and respect in general is damn near gone into the shitters. Excuse my language. Yes, there are certain things that should be valued, right? But if you decide not to respect yourself on any level, your value kind of goes down. Some of y'all have to take accountability for the things that you have done. Not try to punish anybody else or punish the world for what happened. Like, I'm gonna give a prime example. There are some people right now who are locked up, and I spoke about this a while back, or probably just coming home because they were lied on. made up situations that didn't happen just because they either got ghosted, they did something that they know for a fact they shouldn't have done, should have been wise about. And for you to make a person feel sorry, you go and do the ultimate by lying. Not realizing that there are consequences and repercussions behind that. The sad part about those consequences and repercussions is that it lands on the young man or the men in general. Some of these men shouldn't have even got locked up. This is why I say there are some things that really need to be thoroughly investigated, because it's sad that we still in a time and age now where people will go through the utmost lie just to make somebody feel as bad as them. Again, this is where emotional awareness and intelligence is supposed to play into the role. Now, if you decide you want to do something that obviously shouldn't be done, and you happen to be somebody who either got ghosted or you see that the respect level ain't there, you have to take accountability for that. And you have to accept that. See, the problem is some of y'all don't like to take losses, but everybody takes a loss. Keep it real with you. Everybody takes a loss. That's a part of life. You're not going to win everything. You could be on top of everything. You could produce greatness all around to some degree, but shoot, you're going to take losses. Those losses are a part of life because it gives you a life lesson. And it just prepares you mentally. It prepares you all around. It's needed. I mean, some of y'all will point blame, and in the same token, you not thinking about what moves you made or what moves you played in those scenarios. You can't try to place your anger on people that don't got nothing to do with your past traumas or your past experiences. But the one thing you shouldn't do is lie and make false allegations and reports. I'll repeat that again, because this is a general message to all the women out there, at least those who need to hear it. And again, if it don't apply, let it fly. Let me get to the fellas next, don't worry. But I'm making this light and simple for y'all. You made a mistake, own up to that mistake. Learn from that mistake and move on. Don't lie and try to make somebody else's life a living hell. Or try to mess up whatever reputation they might have had or whatever blessings they probably had coming to them. Because again, there are innocent people who are coming home now that were lied upon when it came down to that. You think that's fair? But some of y'all should imagine how it would feel if it was on your end and you was the one going through the system. Ain't a good look. If you decide you want to go out here and do God knows what with God knows who, that's a risk you're willing to take. And you could expect some negative outcomes regardless. Accountability still is a thing. Shouldn't be hard for you to say, you know what, I messed up. Let me take this into consideration. Let me get back to resetting myself. I know what I'm looking for, and I want to go get it. But the fact that you would lie shows again the maturity level of some people. I don't understand where that mindset even came from, to be quite honest. To try to do those type of things and again mess up people's whole livelihoods. It should be a time where if you're gonna do something like that, you should be held accountable. Like I said, there are some things that it seems like it's double standards. And it's crazy, because again, some things are gonna be hard to really prove or tell. It's bad enough for some of y'all, you gotta listen. Y'all got an advantage already because the system already gives y'all the advantage. But don't sit here and lie and mess up people's livelihoods and credibility, especially those who are on the verge of making things happen and being an impactful. You gotta think about it. How many people probably was about to be the next NBA stars or the next lawyers and doctors? Never know. Got messed up because of certain situations. Gotta think about that. That's not a good look to sit there and lie on somebody because what if the shoe was on the other foot? Would you be able to handle that? Probably would. Some of y'all that decide you want to go out here and be loose gooses, okay. Just know what comes with that. BDPGP, what's going on, my guy? I already know if y'all just tuned in, hit the like button. Come on, let's keep it real. You decide you want to go out here and do the most unthinkable acts and not really being sure what you doing or who you doing it with, what you expect to happen. DD baby, you gotta think about that. Put yourselves in precarious positions that you shouldn't have to. That's why I said it's important for some of y'all to start checking off your list. You know, if you know what you're looking for, if you know what you really desire, then again, it shouldn't be hard to find it. But get to know a person inside and out. That's the most important thing. Get to know a person inside and out. And then from there, you make your calculated decision. But I would say for some of y'all, again, it's time for some of y'all to stop with this mindset. And then you bring it even to social media. And it's basically like you telling these younger queens to do the same thing. If this person did this to you, or if this person disrespected you in this way, make their lives a living hell. Let them feel what you feel. But that's a different type of feeling right there. Because nobody should have to get locked up or possibly locked up or messed up to where it's hard for them to do certain things now. It puts a bad taste around. It's no good, you know. Appreciate you for dropping those links, serious baby. Working hard in these security cameras, baby. But you gotta think about that. Again, gotta have self-respect for yourself. Period. If you know what you value, truly desire, you're supposed to share that with somebody. You know, it's bad enough, like I said, in some situations, this is one reason why the dating pool is kind of messed up. Because you'll have scenarios where people will sit here and just blatantly lie. Again, you got to be careful with what you're doing and who you doing things with. Because again, you put yourself at odds to a degree. But if you find somebody that really does fit the criteria of what you are desiring, it shouldn't be hard to lock it down. There has to be balance in order when it does come to any form of relationship, friendship, anything along those lines, even business partnerships, all of that. But I think again, it's just responsibility. Be responsible for yourself. And if you do make a mistake, all right, take accountability, learn a lesson from it, and move forward with life. One situation, especially if it's a bad one, shouldn't affect your trajectory in life. Because regardless to what, you still gotta live. You still gotta move forward. Not everybody's perfect, you know that. But again, you just have to be careful in the decisions that you're making, especially when it comes down to giving your body to somebody. So, ladies, again, take this into consideration. Fellas, same thing. I'm gonna speak to y'all too. Some of y'all being irresponsible, don't care who you wilding out in. Until you find out, you're gonna end up having a scenario or a situation. And if that does happen, are you gonna be willing to do what you have to do? Shouldn't be no problem to take care of what you need to take care of, which is your responsibility. Like I said, be careful who you laying your seeds in. Goal really should be trying to find that right one to do that with. But there's some of y'all who feel that you're gonna take that risk anyway, thinking nothing ain't gonna happen. Sometimes they only take one time. All it takes is one time. That's something you have to remember too. 'Cause you never know the situation. You could have a fertile myrtle, how they would call it. It only take one time, especially if you ain't being careful. The goal should be trying to just build a solid family structure and building that structure with somebody who, again, compliments you the best way. Really, how it is supposed to be. Yeah, you're gonna have your experiences in life, but some of those experiences shouldn't put you in the hot seat, basically. You young queens out there, you really should be trying to preserve yourself better. Fellas, take accountability and responsibility for your actions as well too. It goes both ways. Um, I don't know. Just it's funny because again, all you got to do is just say, "Well, all right, I messed up in this scenario. Let me correct certain things so this doesn't happen again." But it's sad because again, it should never be to a point where you start lying about certain things. You gonna lie and put somebody in trouble with the system for what? Because of your previous mistake? That's unfair. Again, I'm gonna say for some of y'all ladies out there, don't make these false allegations and reports Because at some point, it will start getting to a point where you could possibly get locked up or worse. But I feel in some situations, if these type of things are being reported, you have to really do your due diligence and do your investigation. I feel that should be something. That's another thing that will eliminate false imprisonment, at least in my opinion. No more lying. No more lying because you feel emotionally hurt and distressed. That's not a good look. In my opinion, that's almost childlike. You're lying to get somebody in trouble because you made a mistake with something. No, this is where you're supposed to just take accountability and take the loss. Again, the notion of lying on somebody and trying to make things difficult for them, that ain't the way to go. Fellas, you're gonna have to start making wiser and better decisions. You plan on building. Make sure you're building with the right one for the long haul. There should be no gray areas. Communication should still be the same from the time you decided to build together to the time both of you were going or grow old together. That's about it. There has to be, again, balance and order. So I'm gonna say for some of y'all that need to hear this, being loud, rude, and aggressive ain't the way to go. And again, you drive people away with that. Oh snap! I see y'all over here having the coffee versus tea wars. Eh, this is funny right here. No, but I'm saying, it's really about time to change the mindset. And some of y'all will come on here and promote all the wrong shit. If you're gonna promote something, promote it from both angles. uh, Some of y'all want to be out here giving all forms of dating advice and everything else, but at the same token, some of y'all only going from a negative aspect of things. Talk about the positive. I think that's the most important. The goal is build a bond with somebody, right? Now, if you're gonna build that bond, you're gonna build that trust. And again, communication should be no gray areas. It should be wide open. Anytime either party is feeling any type of way, then y'all should sit down and have a calm and logical talk. Can't have an emotional talk because you won't get nowhere. Cool heads have to prevail when it comes down to, you know, keeping everything intact. And again, in some instances, it shouldn't be hard. But see, the reason why it's difficult right now is because, again, you gotta take into consideration all these different options that are happening right now. Options that make people kind of eerie of doing anything. If you go back to how it was back in the day, dating wasn't that much of a hard thing. If you ended up finding somebody and you ended up going out on that date, you get to find out if that's somebody you want to have a second date with, and maybe more, or nah, she cool, or nah, he cool. You're supposed to know that already, you know. But I would say in these instances, it's time for y'all to start having reasonable standards. I would say again, it works both ways. Knowing what you require. Because not everybody's going to require the same things or look for the same things. But in some instances, there should be a common ground when it comes down to having these conversations that are needed. Prime example, if you see that you with somebody or you are dealing with somebody and they are giving you clear signs or showing clear signs that it's not going to be what it's supposed to be, and y'all need to sit down and have that talk. Some of you fellas out there, if you feel like that's something you really not going to pursue something long term with, don't give up their hopes and don't waste their time. Like I said, it goes both ways. More than anything, just have respect for yourself. Know what to accept, know what not to accept. But more than anything, if you have made a mistake, just take accountability. It works. But I obviously feel like this: if you are going to try to vet out what you're looking for at that present time, and again, you need to let that be known. So this way, a person has an option to decide if they're going to proceed with it or not. Nobody should ever feel forced to just throw themselves into something just because, because it's going to be a decision that if you make, you know, I have to live with it. Sometimes it can be a good one, sometimes it could be a bad one. The goal is if you decide you're going to be with somebody, it shouldn't be forced, rushed, or any of that. It has to blossom and nurture over time. One thing that should never be done, that's on either end again, is bringing old baggage into new scenarios or situations. Never turns out good. If you're not completely healed within yourself, you can't move forward with anything else. Because almost every scenario will feel like the last scenario. The goal is when you all decide to move forward and do something that's good for you, you're supposed to feel good overall. Also feel solid in the decision that you make. No need to keep moving fast. You know? You take the necessary steps and take the necessary time. Because that's how you'll truly end up finding something that's really worth it. And once you do, you could start building from there. be quite honest, you both are supposed to be ready, willing, and able to be down for each other no matter what. The goal is not about control, it's just about balance and order again. The problem with some of you out there, and I'm gonna say some of you ladies first, only because I've seen this coming for a lot of y'all more than I've seen from the fellas. Some of y'all blatantly, like I said, I'm gonna say the last 10 years or so, are blatantly disrespectful with your moms all around the board. That right there is not gonna land you nothing but the energy you put out. Cause you gotta remember, there are some people who might be willing to take that, but then they gonna line you up something good. Sorry to say it that way. Gotta have respect on them, and that goes for you fellas too. I mean, yeah, I gotta start having a little bit more respect when it comes to certain scenarios. That's it. I ain't gotta call you all hoes and bitches. I ain't gotta do all that extra stuff. Not to get my point across, or definitely not to just alleviate whatever situation needs to be alleviated. Some of you fellas, again, you gotta make some wise decisions, man. The goal is to make sure somebody is mentally capable and spiritually capable to, again, build and go on the journey with you. Gotta choose right. If you feel like you have, there shouldn't be no second doubts, no guesses at all. I think that's a reason, in my opinion, that's why the marriage rate is low now. Even the thing that was natural at one point, it don't feel natural no more. It really don't. Everything is out of whack, you know. Time to start restoring and rebuilding what was a natural thing. Finding the right person and building from there. But it's even hard to do that again when everything that was making it easy ain't easy no more. And it's tricky. Some of these things even seem unfamiliar. Should be a scary notion for some. And I'm not gonna lie, social media does play a key part in some of the situations. There was a time when everything was sacred and private, like I said before. They don't seem like that. And some of y'all coming on here spewing hatred. It's true. You're spewing hatred on the fabric of some of these scenarios because of your previous situations. Your one bad encounter probably won't be your last encounter. Your one bad encounter, hey, it's just gonna give you spiritual growth and knowledge. You've been battle tested. If that mistake is not putting you in a position where you could be unalived or placed in a real critical scenario and situation as far as hospital or even if your psyche ends up becoming lost in the sauce. Now think about it. If it ain't one of those scenarios, your previous experience shouldn't be a bad one. It just gives you more knowledge to learn what not to tolerate or what to change up if you have to change up anything. It's time for some of y'all to start focusing on making things work with the people that you need to make things work with, especially if it's not that bad of a scenario. You know? And if you only going to just sheerly go off the looks, remember, in some instances, looks do fade. I remember some people do grow old and grow gracefully old. Some people don't. Depends on the scenario. On the same token, you want to at least say you enjoyed most of your years with somebody who was down through the thick and thin. The common goal. I'm sorry, but some of y'all live in this fantasy world and think that everything is gonna be all peaches and cream. No, you gonna have some real moments in life where things are gonna test you to the brink of everything. But you're not supposed to fold under pressure if you unify. Yeah, you're gonna have your disagreements on things. That's common nature. Sorry to say it, but it is. You might decide to do something that the family might not agree on. Hey, supposed to have those talks and conversations. You're gonna have a lot of tests in life. But the goal is to pass those tests. How do you pass those tests? Well, it does start with the self respect. You have to love yourself all around the board to where you don't have to change yourself up. And when I say it that way, I mean exactly what I mean. If you're comfortable with who you are as a person, you satisfied with who you are. That's the most important thing. You respect yourself enough. You know what to put yourself into, what not to put yourself into. Some people are not ready for a relationship. They will bring in the weight of their past toxic lover in order to maintain a solid, healthy, and balanced relationship. You have to deal with your past. Exactly, Miss Arias, you have to. That's the one thing some people fail to realize. Whatever you might have gone through the first time around, if there was bad times, you can't go into the next situation with all of that. It is time to let it go because your next encounter might not be that way. Some of y'all that need to hit is before you place yourself in a toxic scenario where it could get violent. Once you start noticing certain patterns, it's time for y'all to get going. And I'm saying that on both ends. Fellas, there's some of y'all out there that are allowing some of these women to do certain things to you. And honestly, shit ain't a good look. Sorry. I don't care how you try to make it look, how you try to mask it. It shouldn't be tolerated at all. The goal ain't fighting each other. Y'all supposed to be battling together. Got to battle this cruel world that we live in right now. And especially if you planning on building and growing a family, you got to think about that. You both have to be on the united front when it does come down to raising kids and raising a family. To be quite honest, some of the things that we used to see in the communities, we ain't seeing it no more. But in some instances, a lot of y'all making it difficult. You can't sit here and deny that. If you made a clear mistake, cool. Learn from that mistake. If there's no need to revisit that mistake, don't revisit it. The goal is to get yourself right before you get on to the next flight. And just remember that not everybody's going to be in that same position. Again, you just got to know what you're looking for, know what to seek out, you know. And again, once you do start seeing red flags and scenarios, yeah, trying to identify them and see what the hell the situation is before it becomes a little too late. Don't nobody want that. That's why you have to be responsible and accountable for yourself. With your interactions, again, you can encounter something that could be good for you, or you can encounter something that could be a detriment to you. And again, for some of y'all that need to hear it, don't place yourself in dangerous scenarios. You gotta be able to read certain things. When something don't seem right, don't feel right, you follow your instinct and you keep it moving from there. You have to be clear about what you have to be clear about you. Fact serious, you have to. That's the thing. Some of y'all again will put yourselves in scenarios before you just decide, you know what, I gotta do this the right way. And you shouldn't keep putting yourselves or putting your same scenarios on everything that you are coming across. If you was with somebody that was verbally abusive, prime example, I don't mean every encounter that you're gonna have is gonna be one of that. If it's physically abusive, I don't mean the next person is gonna be the same way. But again, if you respect yourself, you know what to tolerate. And the minute somebody does bring that into effect, that should be a clear sign for you to keep it moving. Can't bring extra weight and baggage down on somebody that's not prepared for it. It doesn't work out. That's the equivalent of one of those heavy medicine balls getting thrown fast paced at somebody and they wasn't expecting it. Gonna knock them off course. So again, if you have not properly healed, and I'll say this on both ends again, you have not properly healed before you decide to do anything else, make sure you do. The goal is not to keep having the same interactions or the same situation. You want to be able to say, I found something that's conducive to my life and compliments me the right way, and I can build with that person. It's supposed to be trusted. But again, how do you build trust without communication? It's a whole fact, serious whole fact. Have to be clear about what you want. Have to be. And some people are not. Again, closed mouth don't get fed. So you have to start opening and keeping the communication lines open. It's important to do so because again, how do you sit here and build, or how will you continuously build with somebody if the communication is off balance? Yeah, I have to be effective listeners, definitely. You know, you don't just hear what somebody's saying, you listen to what they're saying. Listen. Then from there you move forward. You both know what's expected and you know, you can move from there. But if you don't have those talks, how you gonna know? The goal is for both sides to be happy, not one side. Wonder baby. And I think that's the truth though. The goal is for both of y'all to be happy. But I'm gonna say it works both ways. It has to be respect. Can't talk to somebody any old type of way and think that they're gonna tolerate that. Miss Tank baby. What's going on? I see y'all in here. See y'all in here. But no, you have to be clear. You have to be real with what you want. You got to be clear with yourself first. And then from there, you be clear with the person you trying to build with. Some of y'all, you might not get it right the first try, but if you analyze everything that took place and transpired, you could make the adjustments needed. So when that next time around, it'll be a little bit better. But again, you have to heal yourself. For some people, it ain't easy dealing with breakups, but it has to be done regardless. But also, again, take accountability for what might have made things transpire because it works both ways. You have to be respectful towards each other. Again, balance and order. It's supposed to be a great balance of respect, regardless. Some of y'all out there, there's no way you can say that you're gonna land something great when you're trying to do everything possible to belittle or just blatantly tear down the person you're trying to get with. I'm sorry, that's nasty work. you know, honesty and respect goes a long way, whether you want to believe that or not. And for some of y'all, you cry and mope, but then you settle for nonsense. And I'm gonna say that on both ends. Nobody should settle for anything that's not bringing any form of positivity or growth to their life. Should be tossed in the trash. Because again, respect goes all around the board. Now, I'm sorry, but some of you women out there, you want people to respect and honor you, but you won't do the same thing back to the person you're expecting it from. It does go both ways. Some of y'all need to stop talking at them and talk to them. That's why it's called communication. Some of y'all will talk to these men like they your child. Again, it's supposed to be respect all around the board. Communicate like adults. If either one of y'all feel a type of way, it shouldn't be no problem in communicating. Sit down and again have that discussion. The goal is not to be stressing each other out when you already got enough stresses to deal with in the world around you. Again, especially if you a builder. Fact serious. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just gotta take that into consideration. Respect goes like some of you fellas out there, you can't be wilding out neither with yourselves. You can't. Again, because all it takes is a certain scenario, and guess what? It could be straight disrespect. Somebody will interpret that as disrespect. But this is why communication lines should stay open. But again, getting to know somebody before you just jump into anything, that's the most important thing. Some of y'all just quick to want to get with something without fully doing your research and knowledge. Like I said, there are a lot of things that shouldn't be hard, but it's getting harder because some of the expectations are way out of character, way out of pocket. Again, it should be to a point where everybody just comes to the table, you know. Come sit down at the table and say what you're looking for. No, it's a whole fact series. It's not. Again, you just gotta be real, you know. Be real with yourselves. You know what you're seeking. Take the necessary and safe steps in doing that. Get out there and go find what you're looking for. But again, you got to remember self-respect and then respect in general. Some of y'all will not get the respect you think you're gonna get because again, you're making it hard for that to happen. But again, some of y'all gonna end up running away to people that again you trying to build with. You're gonna run them off. It should be structure when it comes down to having a grown up conversation. Not gonna lie to you, you know, it's becoming more tricky nowadays because again, you know, some people are going just off of views and opinions. And going off of views and opinions of others. The thing is, If you know what you got on your list already, okay, cool. That list should be that list should be not short and sweet, but it should maintain the things that you know you're gonna need. But again, your expectations gotta be reasonable. Can't be all out the window with it. Because again, you're not gonna get everything off your list. If you think of it like regular shopping or Christmas shopping, you gotta have a list of everything that you think you want. You might get the things that are needed, might not get everything that you wanted off that list. So you gotta remember that part too. You know? Don't just keep adding and adding and adding. You know, be reasonable. You know, mess around and overstock your house. Then guess what? What space you gonna have? You know, it's time for again. You just be real and bring everything to the table the way you're supposed to. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm not looking for. You know, have the conversation. You know, in some instances, it really shouldn't be hard to communicate or relay a message. You know, but again, you're gonna have to take accountability and responsibility. Accept responsibility. You know, so that means even down to some of you fellas out here who are being irresponsible. You end up doing something, and now there's a child that's about to be involved. Be responsible and take care of yours. No matter what the cost, no matter what the scenario, take care of yours. Be quite honest. You know, it seems like a lot of good families was getting broken up just because of certain programs that was put in place. You know, but in the same token, you have the right to decide what you're going to do. And some of y'all will mess up something good, or some of y'all will mess up your families, you know, for all the wrong reasons. Putting yourself in danger when you do stuff like that. There's some of y'all who messed up your whole livelihoods just because, again, you thought the grass was going to be greener on the other side and found out that it wasn't. There's some of y'all who believe y'all could have done better when, again, you did have better. First things first, I'm gonna say you can't run from things. Any form of relationship or marriage, you can't run away from certain scenarios. Got to face them head on. But again, keep communication lines open because when one person is not feeling their best, or when one person is not as happy as they should be with that significant other, that's a problem. It'll start causing all forms of doubts and toxic scenarios that at some point could damage even worse if it's not caught in time, basically. Gotta be willing to be expressive and, you know, again, keep everything on the same level. Balance, you know. I feel it's just the natural order of things. You know, everybody has to play their roles, but also again be communicative in everything that is needed. You know, the goal is to keep everything afloat and not sink the ship. You know, be accountable and take responsibility for yourself when you know you again might have made a mistake. Because again, not everybody's perfect. But again, you really should be wise in what you're doing things with, with other people. Because again, your safety is more at risk than anything. So I believe accountability will always be the main factor in any case scenario. Any case scenario, that's exactly what will continue to keep the process going and the relationship or marriage growing is if you both take accountability. You know, give me 1 second, yo. But it's about time you start changing the playing field again. Bring it back to its natural order. Because to be quite honest, for some of y'all, it's not going to be easy to find what you're looking for and what you really need if you keep limiting yourself to certain things. You have to expand. You can't limit yourself to the same experiences. You know, if you truly know what you're seeking, then you make the effort value, the valiant effort basically, and go with what you know. And that is true, serious. No, not everybody can sit at your table. You know, I've always believed that was a true notion in life. You know, everybody's gonna have the main one, the day ones, and everything else along those lines, right? But you tried. And that's that thing. It's important. You know, knowing who you building with, and when it comes down to the relationship aspect of things, you got to make sure that you're building with the right person through and through. And some of you ladies, and for some of you fellas out there, can't run away from every situation. You should know for a fact if that's something you really want to pursue, or if that's just something that's for a little fling or whatever it is. Like I said, give the other person the option to decide if that's what they really want to do. It's important again to preserve yourself. You know, preserve yourself for the right people. You know, and once you feel like you've done that, you know, you'll feel a lot better. You'll definitely have what you've been seeking. But yeah, nothing wrong again with trying to take your time with things. Don't rush nothing. Things that are usually rushed at some point end up giving out or ends up crumbling. You want to make sure you building everything layer by layer. And how can you build everything layer by layer? Keeping the communication lines open. Honoring and respecting each other. Key word, respecting each other. Because that's always going to play the most important thing. Can't respect yourself, can't expect to respect anybody else. And just be humble. If you found something that really does fit your script, then do the best you can to lock it down. And also be in tune with each other. Again, don't just hear what somebody's saying. Listen to what they're saying. But if it's going to be consistent arguing back and forth, nobody's going to be able to get their points across. And you're going to come back to the same scenario. Again, there has to be logic and reason when it comes down to just having certain talks. But yeah, you know, it's about time to start changing the standards of things. Get back to something simple. Again, the dating game shouldn't be so hard. Trying to find somebody shouldn't be that hard. You just gotta know what you need, what you require, and find a person that fits at least most of those. You're not gonna find everything on the list, but if you find at least 80% of the list, you're still good to go. Main thing to remember is consistency. So that means communication must be consistent at all times. You know, if you're not doing that, pretty much setting yourself up for failure. If my thing is this, if that's not really an option that you would try to build with, because I'm gonna say this on both ends. If you both feel like it's not the option right there to build with each other, then shoot. Go find somebody that you can build with. And don't waste each other's time. You get constant stories about that. I settled for this one, or I just decided to. No, if you feel like that's not an option for you at all, don't waste time. Again, you got to know what you need. And if you feel that person is not meeting your needs, then you move forward. It don't make sense to try to build and grow when you know it ain't gonna be possible. Give me 1 second, y'all. Yeah, my bad, y'all. Thought I had an alarm going off, but false alarm. But yeah, it's time for y'all to start doing your research before you just jump into anything. Go on, James, that shit. I need 12 more coffee cups. No, but you gotta think about it. You know, your true desires should never be that far in reach. You know, just be reasonable. And again, if that person might not be your first option, don't settle for it if that's the case. Make your rounds and make sure that you do find something that truly compliments you. So for some of y'all, you'll just go off of looks instead of going off the notion of somebody that has a great personality. Again, it's sad that when it came down to certain things in the dating scenario, even back then, it wasn't that hard. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for. You know, and if this is what you're looking for, then hey, you can make something work. If not, I'll keep it moving. You shouldn't settle for something if you're not sure of it. You're not sure of anything, you shouldn't be making that decision to begin with. But again, if you're gonna do certain things, you know, be accountable and be responsible. Can't blame your past decisions or your past experiences on the world around you. Not everybody move the same, and not everybody gonna think the same. But I was also serious about the beginning when I said some of y'all need to stop blatantly lying and making false allegations and reports. Because regardless of how you may feel, you are generally messing up somebody else's livelihood. And for some people, that's a stain that don't go away. So again, if you decide to give yourself up to somebody that you know wasn't worth giving it up to, whose fault is that at the end of the day? And I say that on both ends. Some of you fellas be out here wilding too, but you making these decisions. You are initially responsible for the decision that you decide to make. So if you make it, you gotta be able to live with it. You know, again, should never be that tough. You know, again, gotta build a solid foundation around you. And when you find somebody to be a part of that foundation, hey, you'll be even stronger. But again, don't just settle because you feel that's what you have to do. Don't settle for nothing less. You know? But again, expectations should be reasonable. Once you have those reasonable standards, you know, things will change. Things will look better. And you have to make important decisions and solid decisions. And, you know, you got to be very comfortable with the decisions that you did make. Again, you know, think before you do things. Don't put yourself in a hot seat on 1 second. Drop the link in case anybody want to chime in, because I ain't gonna hold y'all all night. I just felt like I wanted to talk about that. You know, I'm not dimming my light to make a person comfortable. No, it's a whole fact. You know, again, but it just gotta be balanced in order. You know, it has to be respect when it comes down to having dialect and conversation. You know, and again, gotta be willing to come to some form of common ground. Because if you both are gonna be building together, both gotta be able to have communication open, both have to have respect for each other and yourselves. And again, you know, just try to move the change forward. United front. You know, you don't lessen yourself for anybody. You know, you maintain who you are. Have confidence in yourself. There's a difference between confidence and arrogance. And some people have arrogance. And I think that's another reason why some of y'all might stay single. Because your arrogance level is just way out there. And like I said, even when it comes to respect, you can't expect to disrespect somebody and you don't get that same energy back. Some of y'all ladies out there, be careful what you say. Because again, it'd be those things right there that'll keep you from finding something great. The energy that you put out there will be the energy you receive back. Anita, baby. Welcome back, baby. You already know if y'all just tuned in, hit the like button. And if y'all new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. But this is why it's important to have these talks, you know? And again, for some of y'all who have already made a mistake, don't keep making the same mistakes. Learn from it, mature from it, and move forward. Know the do's and don'ts. The goal is not to run somebody off. The goal is to keep that person and build with that person. But again, if you feel like that's not an option for you, then, you know, again, move around. But when you also realize that if you do got something good, don't do anything stupid to mess it up. And I'm sorry, but the stupidest thing you can do, in my opinion, is do anything to belittle the person you're supposed to be building with and growing with. And you try to talk low or talk down on them, that don't sit right. And in some instances, you can end up losing somebody. So remember that. Got to be careful in what you're saying and how you're saying things. Goal is to protect your significant other's heart. And it is a point in time where if they don't feel that same reciprocation, you could be putting yourself in the hot seat. And that's on both ends. And that's why I say stay focused on communication more than anything. I think that's a good thing though. You know, just having the overall mindset to say, well, this is what I seek, and if I find that person, I know what to do. Shouldn't be that hard. But again, there has to be order and balance. And for some of y'all, order seems like control, but it's not. There has to be a natural order in things. In order for things to progress the way it's supposed to progress, natural order has to remain how it needs to remain. But again, some of y'all will run people off when you decide to be combative. Not a good look. Shouldn't be combative. Because again, it's about building with somebody and having peace. Or at least being at peace with that person. But again, it's some of y'all will mess yourselves up because you are listening to outside interference. Shoot, some of y'all don't even be sounding sure when you say, "Oh, it wasn't really my first option." If it really wasn't your first option, you wouldn't have built something with that person. You got to remember that too. So I said, take accountability. And that's the whole fact, series. It's supposed to be that way on both ends. You know, you have to keep that line open because again, there might be things that can be key and critical as far as maintaining a healthy balance or being on the verge of self-destruction. The goal is again to keep yourselves afloat. So if there are things that could be bothering you or it's things you do have doubts about while building with this person, you sit down and have that talk like grown-ups. And eliminate the emotions. Because again, it gotta be about the logic. What can you do to build a better and healthier relationship? Well, your best bet is again communication and having a common ground. You set boundaries and set certain things for yourself. You know, shouldn't be that hard to find somebody who's going to be able to respect that as well too. But again, both have to be able to accept each other for who you are. When it's all said and done, again, you are held responsible for what you do. So be accountable. And again, for those that need to hear it, try to preserve yourself as much as possible. And if you're going to be out there doing whatever it is you are doing, and again, still be accountable for what you're doing and hold yourself responsible. But I ain't going to hold y'all too long tonight. I just wanted to come on in and chop it up with y'all real quick. Appreciate everybody that tuned in. Appreciate everybody that's catching the replay. And for those in the future that's catching this is just a bit of piece of sweetness I had to give out of here today. You know, when it's all said and done, you are responsible for yourself. You should be. Being careful with yourself, being careful with what you do and who you do things with, that also has a major impact. And for some of y'all, if you're not trying to be in the midst of having another mouth to be responsible for, you better think twice before you do whatever it is you don't. But again, have some self-respect for yourself. And everything else will follow. And when you do have that good one, again, just keep the communication lines open. It doesn't make anybody else less than to let your partner know what's really on your mind. Because at some point, if you don't get to some form of conclusion and decision, that's where things will take a turn for the worse. So who wants to go through all of that? Know what you need, know what your desires are, and again, just apply pressure, but be safe while doing so. And I'll revisit this, trust me. You know how I do things. Everybody that's still celebrating birthdays in this Scorpio season, I did not forget about you. Did not forget about you. And if you thought I did, I did. Yeah, I see y'all in here getting it. See y'all in here getting it. And again, hopefully y'all enjoy y'all birthdays. Hopefully you enjoy your week. You know, keep yourself vigilant and observant as always. Again, be prosperous and be thankful to enjoy another moment of life and create memories. Another year, another blessing around that sun. And appreciate everybody that was a part of the conversation. Those that are just tuning in, you can definitely catch this replay. Could be back possibly tomorrow. It could be an early thing. Never know with me. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. So I appreciate y'all for rocking out. Hopefully y'all enjoy the rest of your evenings. I already know it's morning. In most places across the sea, probably already early afternoon. Hopefully y'all keeping yourselves safe and enjoying your Mondays. James number 8. How you come back in here without a pork chop sandwich? Hold on. Didi, you were supposed to have everybody's chocolate cake in here. Where is it? Say serious, you're not off the hook. You're not off the hook. We need cheesecake. James, bring them coffee cups out. You know, that's how we doing that right here. I'm gonna keep bothering Didi. So she's gonna come in here with the chocolate cakes and everything else. Come on now. Come on now. Letitia, baby. I'm not gonna lie, I believe this conversation was needed. You know, these are aspects that we gotta take into consideration. Again, for some of y'all out there who want to make false reports and allegations, just know at some point you will get your karma. And it's not gonna be bittersweet. You don't know the dangers and the risks that you take in trying to do those type of things anyway. But don't be surprised if things change up to a point where now everything is thoroughly being investigated. You ain't gonna be able to get away with those lies. Again, if you make the decision to be out there and do something that could possibly jeopardize you, you have to be held accountable and responsible for your actions. Again, learn to take a loss. That is a part of life. We all going to take losses. It's how we handle those losses, though, that defines everything. But again, be accountable. Again, have a little bit more self-respect and dignity for yourself, and things will pan out the way it's supposed to. But yeah, just a quick conversation tonight, y'all. Like I said, I think the link is still in the chat, but if not, I ain't gonna hold y'all all night though. I feel like this was something that was needed for the time being. These are the talks that people don't want to really have, you know. But it's important to have these talks because at some point you could get to a common place. And again, for some of y'all, it shouldn't be that hard to find what you're seeking. But you have to have that third eye open for real, you know. And when you know it feels right, you build from there. And if you feel it's not the right fit for you, don't try to force the fit, you know. That's the equivalent of you trying to put your feet in a pair of sneakers that don't fit you at all. Find that fits you. Find someone that fits you in all puzzle pieces of life. And then build from there. But I ain't gonna hold y'all all night. Appreciate everybody that's been a part of the build, still becoming a part of the build. And yes, we still gonna have these great talks and conversations. And I'll revisit this again. I think it's needed. Before I do get up out of here, though, let me let y'all dance one more again. Yeah, I'll definitely revisit this conversation. And the link will be pinned in case anybody want to chime in, you know. But in order to get to the best spaces of life again, closed mouths don't get fed. So you gotta let it be known what you truly desire. And let it be known when you do find that person that you're gonna be building with. So again, be reasonable and just be safe out there. Let me get myself up out of here. And I'll definitely see y'all tomorrow. We're gonna have another little light conversation. Hopefully everybody enjoyed their weekends and hopefully everybody prepared for the work week. You know, get my ass up out of here. If y'all was new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Shout out to the replay gang. Shout out to the Shadow Mafia and the Shadow Babies. Y'all know what it is, baby. For everybody that was in attendance tonight, we already know that love is love and it'll be reciprocated as such. I don't know how to be fake. All I do is give you real. That's all I'm gonna do is give you real topics and real build. And again, appreciate everybody that showed the birthday love and the well wishes. Appreciate again seeing another year and another chapter of life. You know, this journey has been a good journey and still continuously becoming a greater journey. I appreciate those that were a part of it. So, you know. But I'll definitely catch y'all tomorrow. It's time for me to be an adult. But yeah, hopefully y'all enjoy y'all evenings. And I see some of y'all running around these streets. All the coffee cups in the chat, all the damn coffee cups. Dee, bring out the coffee cakes. Serious, bring out the cheesecake. We about to get it in. About to get it in. Y'all stay safe. Keep that third eye open. Until the next live, we out of here. Peace and blessings.